Also, when I got Films and Film in the UK magazine, I got this Star Wars 2 Inside Scoops. Warren Presents Empire Encounters comic. This was £3 as well at Record and Tape Exchange, Notting Hill Gate, because I had about half an hour to spare. I was going to go see Star Trek, which was a great movie. And this is from November 1980. So you've got the original Kenner adverts for the toys in the front page. Vans, model snap vans, Darth Vader kit, Darth Vader figure kit, the guns, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and then you've got the content, page 14 for the Empire Strikes Gold. These are the sort of comic pages, great artwork. Okay, here's the Empire Strikes Gold. Now it can be told. And this article is a reprint. Original article appeared in Famous Monsters 168. Got a picture of the Bespin Cloud City. Picture of Darth Vader and Luke. 21B. The R2-D2 and C-3PO. The AT-AT. Han Solo. Yoda. And Chewbacca. You've got Han Solo, Lando, Luke and Leia, Darth Vader, the freezing chamber, that's it. And then you've got other Warren magazines, Empire Strikes Back, Famous Monsters, and then you've got this comic there. Great artwork, black and white pages. Then at the back of the book you've got the Empire Strikes Back toys that are available. You've got the Han and Tauntaun, you've got the what do you call this, the Twin Pod Cloud Core, the Snow Speeder with light up lasers, the Darth Vader's what do you call this, Star Destroyer, switcheroos, so 15-inch IG-88, very rare that is. And here on the inside you've got Star Wars Mail Order Store. You can get the helmets, the soundtrack, the film, the book, Star Wars full colour poster t-shirt. You can get the die-cast toys, Falcon, the Cruiser, Y-Wing, Dewback, the remote control R2-D2, the Cantina, the Jawa, Sandcrawler, and the Droid Factory. And it was $12.95 back in the day. That Sandcrawler was $10. The Millennium Falcon diecast was $8. The Y-Wing was $8. The Cruiser was $8. The Dewback was $8. Cantina was $8. And then you've got the Empire Strikes Back action figures and action adventure sets, new, latest and greatest. You've got Leia Bespin, Luke Bespin, IG-88, Bespin Guard, Han Solo Hoth, Snowtrooper Hoth, Lando Calrissian, Bossk, FX7, Rebel Soldier, and other bits of equipment. The price of the figures was $3.75, and then here we've got the AT-AT play set, which was $14, and the Imperial Attack Base $16. Wow, so great stuff here. Okay, so there you go, all different Star Wars toys. That was $25, this was $18, the IG-88, the Snowspeeder was $22, this was $12, and the Tauntaun was $11. Really nice graphics there. So there you go. Interesting magazine just for the Star Wars adverts on. There's more Star Wars stuff here. Star Wars action figures, got Luke Skywalker there for $2.95, Han Solo for, Ben Kenobi for $2.95, the Leia, they're all $2.95 these figures. Horseman, the new Boba Fett, $2.95, Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, R5D4 Luke Skywalker action figure, X-Wing pilot, Greedo, Death Star droid, they're all very interesting. Oh, you've got other Star Wars stuff here as well. You've got the Space Battle game, the Sandcrawler, which was $50 back in the day, remote control, Millennium Falcon, which was $37.80, the Imperial Troop Transport was $21.80, model kit, yeah. So all these pages are for Star Wars adverts. And you've got a sort of New Warriors battle jacket, so that's a thing, or Battlestar Galactica thing. $25 for kids. A really interesting magazine, just for the Star Wars adverts and this article about Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars 2 Inside Scoops, November 1980. More Star Wars stuff, watches, pendants, posters, Story of Star Wars, a Galaxy of Star Wars items, badges, dip dots, the action figures, which I'm really into. Wow, great stuff. So we've got about 4 pages of Star Wars adverts here. The game, this was $50. Wow. This Sandcrawler now is worth so much. The Millennium Falcon. And there's that. Okay, cheers, bye. You can see the figures, action figures from Empire Strikes Back in colour. Order form from magazines, Star Wars toys, as I've shown before. A helmet, paperback books. What else is there? Key rings, pendants. So this is 1980, what was available. Earrings, Darth Vader, belt buckles, posters, dip dots, penna poster, Story of Star Wars, 3D poster, badges, pins, and then all the action figures. Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Sand People, Tusken Raider, Death Squad Commander, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, C-3PO, Stormtrooper, R2-D2, Boba Fett, Horseman, Death Star droid, Luke Skywalker action figure, Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, R5D4, Greedo, and then other things. The electronic battling game, Jawa Sandcrawler remote control, very rare now. The Millennium Falcon, the Troop Transporter, Millennium Falcon model kit, and that's that. So these are all the sort of Star Wars things you could get back in the day. Alright. Okay, this video is for a guy on YouTube called RF Biker Scout, and he's been doing a few reviews of magazines and stuff like that. And I'm also a big magazine collector of Star Wars stuff. Like, I've been collecting magazines since the late 80s and stuff like that, so you know, I've got quite a lot. These ones here I'm going to show you are from the 90s, and I'll probably show you one. They're all in bags, but I'll show you the covers at least, and I'm sure this might be interesting to RF Biker Scout. Some of these are UK specific magazines, others are US magazines that were imported over here to the UK. So The first one is called SFX, and that's a UK science fiction magazine. It costs £3, and it's from November 1996, and it comes with a cassette still taped onto the magazine. It's a cover of Darth Vader's TIE Fighter in a sort of gold colour, and it's from November 96, so I'd have been about 26 then, almost 27. You've got Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, really nice. It's got From New York to LA, about John Carpenter, Dragonheart, the film, Sliders, the series that refused to die, Babylon 5. Babylon 5 around that time was really big. I've got the complete box set of Babylon 5 on DVD. It's a great series. And you've got SFX, John Pertwee, with his last ever interview on cassette. And there's the back of the magazine, which has got Battletech on it. Next magazine is Cinescape, and this is an American magazine from April 1997. So this is all going to be about the special editions, and back then we were really excited about them. We've got a sneak preview of Batman and Robin, which is considered to be the worst Batman film. You've got Riding the Wave with Floodstar, Christian Slater. On the set, report Babylon 5, trekking into a new frontier, Starfleet gets a novel mission. So that's that magazine there. It was $5 in the US, or $6.50 in Canada. It doesn't have the UK price there. It'd have been about $3.99. And then you've got Star Wars Insider, special issues celebrating 20 years of well, Star Wars, isn't it? 97, and RF Biker Scout has been going on about these magazines. I've got quite a lot. I've got the first issue of the Lucasfilm magazine as well, which became Star Wars Insider. These magazines are pretty cool, and I used to collect these a lot, but recently I haven't, mainly because the price, and you know, I just haven't got the space anymore. Here we've got Starlog, and Starlog is, yeah, US. I'm getting it mixed up with Stirbrass. Star Wars Trilogy, Secrets of the Special Edition, 20 years, exploring March. UK price is $2.95, US price is $5.99. It's got a bonus gatefold poster, 20th anniversary Star Wars issue. Really nice cover. And then we've got the back of here, a magazine called Sci-Fi Universe, which is an American magazine. 50 Reasons Why We Hate Return of the Jedi. Plus inside the 1996 Universe Awards. Okay, so this is before Episode 1 came out, and the Ewoks were the most hated characters in the Star Wars saga. Now, since Episode 1's been out, it's Jar Jar Binks. Okay, and then there's another magazine here. This is UK import. It's a sci-fi from the Sci-Fi Channel. Star Wars 20th anniversary, Star Trek First Contact, The Star Speak, Mars Attack was the new film then, Babylon 5. Now on this channel, MST 3000. Star Wars Special Issue, nice cover there. I'm sure RF Biker Scout's got this. And then there's another one, this American magazine, The Uncensored Guide to the Future of Star Wars, Cinescape Insider, Star Wars Special Edition, Special Collector's Issue, $10 in the USA. A look ahead to the Jedi prequels, The Long Strange Trip of George Lucas, Exclusive Fiction Guide. I used to pick up a lot of magazines really cheap in comic marts and stuff like that. You just wait till like a year or two later, you can pick them up for 50p to £1 each, and that's how I've got so many magazines. So these are all sort of around the 97 release of the special editions, and choose one to look at. And this is for the benefit of Mr. RF Biker Scout, who's been making nice videos about magazines, and you know, maybe it's a niche area, but you know, so you're not going to get massive amount of views, but those of our generation that like these magazines and collect them, and you know, before the internet and before you know, information was instant, these magazines are really crucial for finding information about Star Wars and that sort of stuff. Okay. Okay, this is for RF Biker Scout. This is issue 32 of the Star Wars Insider. US price is $4.50, Canadian $5.95, and this is a UK import, so this would have been about $3.99. And you can see it's got a CD advert for the Best of Miko Trilogy CD-ROM. I wish I'd gotten that back then, because that had the deleted scenes from episode 4. Rebel Rumblings. So it's pretty much still how this magazine is. And then you got updates from the likes of Frank Darabont, who is slated to direct episode 1 possibly. Special edition bits and bobs, Star News, Christmas in the Stars offers. So I really loved this magazine back then. I mean, I still like the Titan version, but you know, I just can't keep up with that. Pewter Millennium Falcon, Rebel Pilot Reunion, win a gold Star Destroyer from Galoob, the Jet Hawkins. So these are all the guys that play pilots. Most of them would have been British chaps, I'd say. And here's Jawa Trader here. So this is all the sort of stuff I sent away for that Jawa. Cantina Band member. Lucky I've got relatives in America that could help me out with getting that. Han and Carbonate, if you've got tons of money to buy all that sort of stuff, posters, all that sort of stuff, pewter things, blah blah blah. These McCory pictures, you know, I think they're signed as well. I wish I'd got one. And then the chrome art shit, pardon my language. We've got also t-shirts and stuff like that. We've got model kits, stand-ups, all this sort of stuff like the trading cards, wide vision cards, comics, Dark Horse comics, audio. I want to get that actually. I've got the New Hope, but I've got it on cassette. I need to get it on CD. I've got the Empire and Jedi on CD though, but I would like to get them all together on one in the deluxe set, the radio dramas. Then you've got like the differences between the original version of New Hope and the special edition. And it's always if you look at this picture here, you can see Stormtroopers there and Stormtroopers there, and they're exactly the same. It's just like they've been a bit lazy there. That really peeved me off about the special editions. 20 years ago, a 20th anniversary toast to Star Wars. Wow. So the 1997 this magazine would have been about all different people that are into famous actors and stuff like that. Caravan of Courage, Star Wars and television. So there's more about Star Wars Holiday Special, plus the appearances on Saturday Night Live by Carrie Fisher and the likes, and the Muppet Star Wars Special, and C-3PO and R2-D2 on what do you call it, Sesame Street. Then there's a bit about Dark Horse action figures. These are all powerful with the Force. So back in the day, these were the latest figures. Then more Hasbro advert there. Okay, here is a magazine from 1993, and it's called Collectible Toys and Values. It's from America, and it's a Star Wars issue. It's not entirely Star Wars, but it's quite interesting to look at. I mean, mostly it's black and white photographs. It's got an interview with Dave Prowse, and on the cover a picture of Star Wars figures. And this one came out in January 1993. And it's quite interesting to look through the pages. You've got all the Batman, so you can see why back in '95 the Power of the Force 2 figures are so bulked up, because Batman was so popular back in those days, and Star Trek was big as well. Got a thing about Thunderbirds there, back in the UK. Then you've got letter page, and let's keep going. Here's the interview with Dave Prowse. So it's quite interesting. 6'7", man. And he was, you know, a great, and still is a great the true Darth Vader. Other films he was in, Frankenstein and stuff like that, Return of the Jedi. So it's quite an in-depth article about Dave Prowse. You can see how muscular he was. That's why he was the UK Mr. Universe. And then we've got the article about Star Wars collecting, and this is by Lenny Lee, who publishes Lee's Action Figure News. And I think this is more or less the same article that appears in issue 9 of AFN, Action Figure News, and that magazine really got me into Star Wars collecting, and I think this is just as such a great article. And this magazine just cost me £2 on eBay, so you know, I mean, it's worth, if you can track it down, especially if you live in the States, it should be even cheaper. You've got a picture of the Tauntaun there, squid head. Then it goes into the Star Wars price guide. This is really interesting because we're going back almost 19 years now, and these are the prices. So here's sort of 12 back prices. Chewbacca $60, Luke Skywalker 12 back $75, Princess Leia Organa $100, Han Solo $140, Stormtrooper $50. So what you can do with these prices in today's day is these prices now are, you can times them by 10. So this shows you in 19 years, 20 years, the prices have gone up so much for these little vintage figures. And you know, this is what I really collected intensely back in those days, 93, 94. So it may appear like I've got a big collection, but in those days, if you look at the prices, and then if you look at how much they were on for Jedi figures, you know, even back in those days, the Empire figures was slightly harder to find, but if you look at Jedi figures, you've got Bib Fortuna $10, Reyes $10, and you know, back in London, you could pick those figures up for £8, £9. You know, so, and then with the second release of the Jedi figures, the 84 ones, they tend to be more common on Tri-Logo cards in the UK, so that's more or less, those ones are that set I have are more the Tri-Logo cards, whereas the first lot of Jedi cards were more either Palitoy or Kenner cards. But in those days you could get like Meccano cards, Return of the Jedi, you know, and you know how much those ones go for. Here's the Anakin Skywalker Tri-Logo, still an easy find. If you wanted to get a carded Anakin, this is the way to do it, because the Power of the Force Anakin is worth more than the Yak Face. But in those days, back in '93, the Anakin Skywalker was priced on Power of the Force card at $100. The Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper was $60 carded. Amana Man $25, Yak Face $200. So back in those days, Yak Face was worth more, $200, but now it's the other way around. Anakin is worth more on Power of the Force card. Here's the Yak Face and Power of the Force card. That's a Canadian card. That's the only way you can get on Power of the Force, unless you go for Tri-Logo. All the Droids figures, Kia Mole $10, Boba Fett $60 on the Droids card. You know, you're talking much more, especially if it's graded these days. Then you've got all the other accessories there. You've got TIE Fighter, you know, Play-Doh. This magazine is just fantastic. It's a real treasure trove, and sort of takes you back into time. Then we've got stuff about the black hole. I managed to get a black hole Sentry, I think either last year or the year before. That was quite nice. And then we've got Rocket Fireball XL5. So if you're British, you should know what this is, if you're sort of my generation. Then we've got on the Playmate Star Trek. These were the big things in those days. Terminator 2 doll. Terminator figures there. Prices for figures, so you know, Battlestar Galactica figures back in those days were $20 from 1978, you know. And his listing for more just generic sci-fi stuff, rockets from the 50s and 60s, you know, tin toys, great stuff. This magazine is really a really nice magazine. And then we go to something that's specifically American Lionel, which we didn't really get in the UK. And then we've got G.I. Joe, Action Man, trading cards. Okay, and then more on trading cards, price guide for trading cards, price guides for Star Wars trading cards, more adverts. Here's the sort of, if you collect your comics at the time, you know about the death of Superman, so you've got the memorial issue, and on the back of this you've got the advert for the Playmates Next Generation Enterprise and other stuff in the Playmates range. So it's a really good magazine. I thoroughly recommend that you try and track this down if you live in the States. Even in the UK, it'd be harder to find in the UK. Another great magazine is the Lee's AFA Action Figure News issue 9, which is that is the magazine that just blew my mind and got me totally into Star Wars collecting. So check it out.
Armed photon torpedoes. Resume course to our next destination, Mr. Sulu. This is Captain James Kirk of the USS Enterprise. Linda Hura, open a channel to all decks. Security alert to all decks. Kirk out. Kirk to engineering, Mr. Scott, report.
Okay, here we've got the Marvel Star Wars illustrated comics version of A New Hope, and this came out about 1978. Really nice cover. Amazingly, it's really small compared to the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi comic versions. So, you know, that's how small it is. I've got quite big hands, but you know. Anyway, so this is the UK version published by Sphere, and it's very similar to the US version. Like, pages are a bit brown. Excellent. 1977-78. It's got a foreword by Stan Lee, then a foreword prefaced by Roy Thomas, chapter 1. So it just reprints the the Marvel US comics with the cover there, and then the actual story in black and white. So, which is no big deal for the UK, because you know the UK weekly comics were in black and white, and you know everyone knows these comics if you're into vintage Star Wars. And if you're not, you should try and get these comics, or get this magazine. It wasn't at all expensive. Back in the day it cost 75p. Australian price was $2.50, New Zealand $2.50, Era 82 pence, and Malta 80 cents. So really nice little volume. Love the cover, and you know, very cheap. So you know, it's a cheap way to get the original Star Wars comic in a small complete volume. This should cost you no more than £4 on eBay, £5 at the most. So track it down. Okay, here we've got a magazine from 1977. It's a British magazine. It's from August of that year. It cost 45p originally. It's called Films and Filming, and it's one of the first magazines, UK magazines, to have Star Wars on it. And as you can see, a black and white picture of C-3PO and R2-D2. And it was, I got it for £3 down Record and Tape Exchange in Notting Hill Gate. So Films and Filming, August 1977, volume 23, founded 1954. So there's not much about Star Wars in this, it's about other films, but you can see like all the Ben-Hur. It just shows you how things were back in those days. Visions and revisions. We've got a picture of Hitler there, and Dennis Hopper. Other films, The Duelist. That's a Ridley Scott movie, quite a good film, before he did Alien. What else? Here's the Star Wars bit, so it's just a double page spread. Star Wars, directed by George Lucas from his own screenplay, described as a high energy action movie uniting the hardware of contemporary space adventure with the romantic fantasies of sword and sorcery, plus a dash of wishful fulfillment. An odyssey from innocence to knowledge. It is a world where magic is possible and love and goodness triumph over evil. With Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Peter Cushing and Alec Guinness, produced by Gary Kurtz. And there's the pictures. You've got the Jawa Sandcrawler, you've got the Rebel Blockade Runner there, you've got Princess Leia loading up R2-D2 with the tape, Obi-Wan and Vader fighting, Death Squad Troopers and Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker and a Stormtrooper, and that's it. That's just the Star Wars in this magazine. Rebel Without a Cause, James Dean. Let's go through this quickly. So, you know, this is quite an old magazine, black and white. Old photographs of James Dean and other films. Fellini's Casanova, never seen that. Reviews, they're reviewing Viva Knievel, Evel Knievel, Mr. Billion, Fellini's Casanova. Okay, so these were the films that were coming out in Britain in 1977. Star Wars wouldn't come out towards the end of 77. There's Roy Scheider. Okay, Roller Coaster, 1977, big movie, back in the day. New production. Okay, France. Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. I remember seeing this back in the 70s. Great film. Harryhausen special effects. And then Exorcist 2. James Earl Jones, voice of Darth Vader, or would become. And then classifieds on the back page. And an advert for Air India. Okay, so that's your films and filmings from 1977 August. Not much Star Wars content, but because of the cover, and it's one of the first UK magazines to have Star Wars on it. So cool stuff. Okay, cheers, bye. Okay, what I thought I'd show you is some of the guides that I use to help with identifying and pricing and all that sort of stuff, Star Wars collectibles. So this is Star Wars Collectibles, House of Collectibles price guide. It's a bit out of date, it's about 10 years, if not more, out of date, but this is one of the first books that I acquired. The first one I got was half of this was Star Wars and Star Trek. Now they just split it into Star Wars. This one came out in 1997, so it's 13 years out of date, but it's still quite useful. I mean, back in the early days it was good for looking at what sort of figures were available. It was good, gave me a lot of good information and good background knowledge of what I could eventually acquire and not acquire but know about. So this is the section about the loose figures. Then you've got some carded figures. You've got a picture of an Empire Strikes Back TIE Fighter pilot, a Brazilian C-3PO, and a Mexican Ewok, which is very rare. I mean, I saw one Mexican figure in England at our convention. They wanted 500 quid for that, so it just shows you how expensive they are over in here. This is a really good book. bit out of date, but still it's a good starting point. You could probably pick it up second hand at a flea market maybe. A third edition was the one I had before this, and that's the one, I don't know where it is, I can't find it, but it's that's the one that really kicked me off into Star Wars collecting. Star Wars toothbrush there. So let's just quickly flip through it. R2-D2 game, modern electronic games, role-playing games. What else? There's so much that you can collect. Some colour pictures now. Most of this book is in black and white. It's American, so all the prices are in dollars. And overall it's quite a good starting point. It's got lots of variety, it's got magazines, it's got books, it's got toys, it's got model kits, it's got whatever you can imagine that's been put out in terms of Star Wars merchandise. It's their banners, paper plates, fan club merchandise. Overall it's a really good book, even though it's a bit out of date. Die-cast stuff, TIE bomber there, laser guns, trading cards. So collectibles from a galaxy far, far away, and it's by the staff of Beckett Hot Toys. Again, this is about 10 years old, if not slightly more. Colour pictures in this, but it just lacks depth in this book. It just has a few items per page, but it's still useful. A bit out of date now. So this is the Beckett book from about 98-99, yak face there. It has a lot of lists, not necessarily any prices. Trading cards, still useful to have. It cost $25 back in 1990. Now if you're into European Star Wars stuff, this is a really good book. It's by a French guy called Stéphane Fourcault, and this book cost about 15 quid. I got it at the 2007 Star Wars celebration in Europe, in London, and it's signed. It says, "To me, I want your Chewbacca," because I've got that figure on a Return of the Jedi card, which he hasn't got. I told him to write that in there. And his book's from Meccano to Trilogo, so it deals with the French cards, which are quite unique, plus it goes on to the Trilogo section, and it's really, if you're into European cards, it's really quite excellent. So you've got the Meccano section first, the French Meccano square cards. These are the first ones, so these are like regular 12-back cards. I've got that French Princess Leia. And then it moves on to the French square cards. And then the Jawa is very common, that's the most common one. You often see that coming up for sale. And what he's done on this is he's put a rarity factor, so the little numbers at the in the corner of the card, that shows you how rare they are, 5 being the rarest, 1 being the most common. But I think he's done that only in the French market. He hasn't dealt with the Palitoy cards, or the German cards, or the Dutch cards, or the Spanish cards. It just deals with the French cards plus the Trilogo cards, which he, according to him, was sold first in France. And then we got the Return of the Jedi French cards, which are commanding a lot of money when they come up to sale on the eBay. I've got that Chewbacca there, and that's quite rare, supposedly. Then we come on to the Tri-Logo cards, all the different variations. And this book's just excellent. If you're into Tri-Logo cards, I can't recommend this any more. Hoth Rescue there. This is really, at the moment, the most comprehensive book on French cards and Tri-Logos. You can't really go wrong with this. So I highly recommend it. Cost about £15. Not bad. And it's really interesting. I mean, there's not much French stuff out there, but this is just interesting. And you've got a list at the back of what cards were available with what bubbles and all that sort of stuff, if you're into all that. So, excellent book. And it's got the price there in European euros, €25. From '97, this is the Star Wars Action Figure Archive. This is the British version, edited by Stephen J. Stancy and Josh Ling. And this is an excellent book. So it's got loads of really nice photographs. It's got Power of the Force 2 figures, card variations, Boba Fett there. Goes up to the sort of 98 figures. What was available, accessories, ships, A-Wing there. The new version of the AT-AT, but I've heard there's an even newer resculpted AT-AT coming out soon. Collector's cases, and then we've got onto the best bit, the 1978 figures, 79 figures. So you've got the pictures of the early bird set, telescoping lightsabers, the 12-back figures, all the different cards you could get them on. What else? Boba Fett there. It's really interesting. Nice photographs, different types of cards you could get from around the world. Primarily this concentrates on US cards though. Power of the Force figures, unproduced Power of the Force cards, Tri-Logo cards, Ewoks, droids, all the different ships you could get at the time, play sets, the new 98 figures, not so new now, and Epic Force figures. And then again it has at the back a glossary of what different cards are available with what different bubbles and variations and all that sort of stuff. So a really good book. This English book cost £25 back then. This is easily the best book for US collectors. It's by John Kellerman. It's the Star Wars Vintage Action Figures, a guide for collectors, and this is just the best book for US collectors. It's got pictures of the figures loose, figures variations, all US cards though, all Kenner cards. This is book entirely about Kenner, nothing else. No Palitoy, no Meccano, no Tri-Logo, no Spanish cards, no Brazilian cards, no Argentinian cards, just pure unadulterated Kenner. And this is the definitive collecting book for Kenner cards. It does go into foreign use of Kenner cards, so if you've got a Dutch card, a Kenner card with a Dutch stick on it, then he'll have that in this, but he won't have actual Clipper Dutch cards. Just entirely Kenner cards. So, not beautifully photographed. All the major variations. Different variations of Luke there with brown hair, dark brown hair, blonde hair. Different variations of Han, Luke Bespin, Leia Bespin, Luke. All the picture variations of the cards. Then we've got a list of accessories, carded action figure number backs listing. So if you're into all of this sort of stuff, then you're in 7th heaven, aren't you? Then we've got pictures of the backs. From this book you can just use this to identify any card you've got, as long as it's a Kenner card, and you can accurately identify what back you've got, what variation. So there's just so much you can do with this book. Oh, so interesting. Empire Strikes Back backs, Revenge of the Jedi offer there, Return of the Jedi fronts, Power of the Force. Let's go through this. You've got lists. This book's so comprehensive and so detailed. There we've got the Dutch Kenner cards with the stickers offers there. Oh, very interesting. Coins. This is just a real treasure trove. The guy who wrote this must have spent ages just doing research on this. It's a shame, in my opinion, that he didn't go into Palitoy cards or the General Mills or Spanish cards or whatever. It'd have been then this book would have just been perfect. But for US cards, this is the best. It's got all the sort of development of the cards, prototypes of the cards, chromolins. You know, it's just so detailed. Prototypes, mock-ups. There's the chromolin pages. Store displays, advertising. Just so much research. I'm not sure if this book's still published. I think it came out a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. But if you're into collecting US Kenner cards, this book is an absolute must. Advertising, promotional stuff. Excellent book. And at the time it cost $34.95. Okay, this book is out of date. It's 97 this came out, but it is an excellent book. It's by Stephen J. Sansweet and T.N. Tunbush, and it's Toma's Price Guide to Worldwide Star Wars, 2nd edition. I've got the 1st edition, but I haven't got it here, so we'll just look at this edition here. This is, even though it's out of date, it's just a brilliant book. It's very comprehensive. Okay, black and white pictures again, but still it's very detailed. It ranges from everything, so from clothing to games, comics, books, magazines, artwork, portfolios, mixture of colour and black and white photographs. And if you're a Star Wars collector, this book is, even though the prices are out of date, it's still indispensable, and you can pick this up cheaply in, well, you can in the UK at least. So comics there, games, colour pictures, and it has a really good section on the action figures, which is our primary concern. Model kits, action figures there. So the prices are out of date, but it has good photography of the figures, all the different major card variations. Ewoks, Flicks, and some of the more modern figures up to Power of the Force 97. Some of the foreign figures like the Mexican, the Japanese in the boxes, the figure packs, Hong Kong set, Spanish cards, Brazilian cards, British Palitoy, Death Star, the little die-cast ships, Action Fleet. So, really good book. Okay, this is one of my favourite books. This is a German book. It's the Star Wars Action Figure Price Guide, 2005 Price Guide, and this is just excellent. It's got your vintage figures there, and it has a good range of figures, not just the US cards, it has Palitoy cards, Tri-Logos. What I like about this book is it's European as well, so it has prices in pounds rather than in US dollars. And this book's still available, quite cheap, and it's just really useful. It needs to be updated because it's got sections on the modern figures as well. It goes up to, let's show you, it's got Ewoks there, and it's got Powder Force there, it's got the Canadian variations, Japanese variations of the figures, Italian, I like the Italian ones. Then we've got more modern Powder Force with the freeze frame. We're going to come up to those. There they are, freeze frame. Canadian versions, Comtech figures, figures with the coins, Beast, figure packs, cinema scenes I should say, the new AT-AT, Luke's T-16, so you've got the US version, the European version. So this book's just so good because it covers British, American, Canadian, Japanese. It's just such a useful book. I know Star Wars is largely, I mean most collectors are American, but there's a lot of us over here and we need our own books as well. What's really needed is someone to do something about Palitoy figures, German figures, and other European lines, the Italian ones. So far we've only got the French ones done. Episode 1 stuff, Power of the Jedi, Saga 1, the blue cards. And this book goes up to 2005. I've got the Saga blue cards with the gold side. Accessory packs. Death Star trash compactor. The silver 25th anniversary figures. Clone Wars stuff. The 12-inch figures, the vintage ones, plus the Power of the Force 2 line. The Marmite Japanese figures just here. I've only got one of these. I've got the AT-AT, which isn't shown. Then Episode 1 giant figures, 12-inch figures, Power of the Jedi, Saga 1, the die-cast ships, and Epic Force. Very comprehensive book, handy size, published by Fantasia SU in Germany, so excellent book for a German. This is a really good European, has to be the best European guide ever. Okay, last we're going to look at the Star Wars Super Collector's Wish book. This is the 4th edition. There's a 5th edition now which I've got as well, but this is an excellent book. I've got edition 3, 4 and 5, and this is just a massive comprehensive book. I know Star Wars Nut 77 did a review of this book, so of the 5th edition. So this is the 4th edition. It cost £20 in England, or $30 US, and this just has everything in it. It has action figures, books, toys, paper products, cooking utensils, whatever you can imagine existing as Star Wars merchandise. This book and its sister volumes has prices in US dollars, model kits, just so comprehensive. Okay, hi, we're just going to be looking at some more price guides for Star Wars stuff and other items. So first book we're going to look at is by DK. It's by Judith Miller. It's the 20th Century Roadshow, and it's got very little about Star Wars, but it's got stuff about toys and stuff. It's a UK book and it costs £9.99 new. I got it for £2.50, and as you can see it's got everything like glasses and porcelain stuff and bits and bobs, and you know, easy to use. Its prices are in pounds sterling, and there's some China dogs and tankard. Let's see if I can. It's forwarded by Alan Titchmarsh. So there's Darth Vader there in the front. Let's just have a look, see where we can find. It's got glass, ceramics, books and ephemera, toys, dolls and teddies. Star Wars is on page 326. So we'll try and find page 326. Mobile phones. So these are the old mobile phones from the 80s, I guess. 326. Not far from here. The old games that we had back in the 80s. Grandstand games, all UK things. Nintendo Game & Watch. That Tommy 3D thing. And let's go back. So we've got Nintendo Game & Watch, toy trains, which are quite valuable. And then here's the Star Wars pages. So this is, yep. You've got a Luke Skywalker with a telescoping saber. There was one of those on eBay last night. It went for £450, graded 85, loose. I was tempted to bid for it, but you know, 450 quid just too much. But even, I mean, I compared it to stuff in the USA, and they're about twice as much for the same figure, and they're graded AFA 80. And you've got a Palatoy sand person there, and a Greedo 21 back or 20 back, and the prices for those are, the sand person's £300 to £400. Brian's Toys has got one of these for about $1,300 US. So you know, the prices are a bit off. You've got the Greedos about £180 to £220. Han Bespin there on a Palatoy card, which is 120 to 180. The Attack Commander Commander on a Palatoy card. The TIE Fighter pilot on a Palatoy card with Empire Strikes Back. The AT-AT original. So this book's not very useful. It's just got very little about Star Wars. And then it goes on to trains, so it's just these 2 pages really. And it's got other stuff about like Corgi toys, the Monkey Mobile. Davy Jones just died a while back. I really grew up with the monkeys, so you know, I've got the modern version of that car. Plus I saw the monkeys twice, so And you've got some other stuff here. You've got what you got here? Toy cars, Dinky Toys. Dinky makes the Space 99 Eagle. And then you've got more Dinky. So hot collecting area, die cast toys. Okay, so that's that book. And let's see what year it came out. Quite modern. Very British book. 2005. Okay. So that's the first. Okay, next book we're going to look at, another British book, is called Boys' Toys, and it says an illustrated history of little things that please big minds. You've got an Action Man, Corgi, Starsky and Hutch car, and a few other Matchbox items, I guess, an Atari controller, and it's by someone called Jed Novick. Came out in 2006, £9.99 originally. I got it pretty cheap, and it's quite a good book. So it's got a Star Wars section, Star Trek, not much, like maybe a couple of pages to each. So you've got different items. You've got the Captain Action, the Johnny West, the Sea Devils, whatever that was, the Marvel's comic superheroes, TV and film. You've got James Bond, the Corgi Lotus Esprit from The Spy Who Loved Me, the $6 Million Man, had that when I was a kid. Starsky and Hutch car, never had that. The Hulk there. Dinky Space 99 Eagle, beautiful item there. The UFO Interceptor, and the Eagle in the box. Captain Scarlet, Thunderbird 2, Lost in Space. So here we've got the Star Wars section there. We've got a speeder bike and Luke Skywalker's X-Wing. Then we go on to Star Trek, Buck Rogers, the Dalek from Doctor Who, Lost in Space. I've got that little thing there. The robots, Robbie the Robot, very famous. Lone Star Capcom, Space Heroes, Godzilla, Real Life Heroes. So a very nicely illustrated book. Evel Knievel, yeah, everyone had that back in the 70s. Great fun. He was such a hero in those days. And then you got these Matchbox cars. We all had those when we were kids. Probably had that ambulance, possibly. Hot Wheels, big in America, I know. What else? Slot cars. Most famous will be Scalextric in the UK. Corgi, British. Dinky. A Tonka truck. Kojak car in the 70s or 80s. The Saints car. Knight Rider car. Trains. So you can see how comprehensive this book is. Not very specific, but you know, it covers things that we're all into. Airfix, Shooting Star Dinky, all the sort of toys we had in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. Very good book. Meccano, had those back in the day. The 3D viewfinder. Lego, how it was in the old days, computing games. So back in this sort of became really popular in the 80s. The Atari joystick, the Simon MB, never had that. Not sure if my sister had that though. The old Commodore 64, brilliant computer there. ZX Spectrum, never had that. 64 was just a beauty though. Pong, Good games there. Beachhead 2. I had Beachhead 1, definitely had that. Platoon, I had that. The game. And then we're coming on to Design Classics. Etch-a-Sketch. Slinky. Connect 4, great game, I love that. Rubik's Cube, could never do that. Top Trumps, good British game there. Monopoly, of course, takes way too long to play, and a few other things. So this book cost £9.99 originally. I got it for about £2–3. So boys' toys. Only useful if you live in the UK, really. Bit too brief otherwise. Okay, next thing we're going to look at is a book that came out in 2007. It's called TV Cream Toys, and it's by someone called Steve Berry, and originally it cost £12.99, and it's very similar to the book we just looked at. It has lots of different toys. So TV Cream Toys, we've got the Star Wars figures there, the original vintage figures, and then we've got Kaplunk maybe, Space Hopper, and then we've got the list of contents. Got the Scalextrics there, Airfix, Astro Wars, got Airfix, so it's in alphabetical order. Backgammon, good game. Barbie, that's heavily collected. So this is quite a useful book, and it has ratings there. So for the game Bermuda Triangle, it has 1976 the year, batteries none, players 4, breakage, it breaks quite easily, ads for TV a couple, MV 4 cups, eBayability is 1, and then overall satisfaction is 3. Big Track, which has just been redone, never had that when I was a kid. Big Yellow Teapot, Black Box, don't remember that. Boglins, whatever they, some strange American thing. Buckaroo, never had that. This Cadbury's Chocolate Dispenser. Cascade, never had that. Chemistry Set. Some funny looking Munchikaboo, whatever that is. The Chopper, a classic bike there. Very, my cousin in Trinidad's got one like this, so I told him to take real good care of it, and you know, safe, sweet bike. Cluedo, the game. Connect 4, Battleship, great game there. The James Bond car, let's go through this faster. Some strange toys there. Doctor Who, and it usually has good artwork in the book. Dungeons and Dragons, the electronic computerized Cluedo. What else? Escalade, Escape from Colditz, classic game there. Evel Knievel, classic. Finger Fright, remember playing with them, I think. Fisher Price Activity Centre, who didn't have that? Well, I didn't. The Flight Deck original, I remember having this, but I remember the Phantom being blue, so definitely had that. Fuzzy Felt, yep, remember playing with that. Galaxy Invader 100 or 1000. Invader from Space, I've still got that somewhere. And the other 80s games. Munchman, Firefox FX, Astro Wars by Grandstand, Nintendo Game & Watch, Girls World, my sister had that. Guess Who, Haunted House, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, never had them. Hungry Hippos, some wicked looking Johnny 7 multi-purpose rifle from 1964, that looks amazing. Kerplunk, Lego, Little Professor, Spud Guns, remember having one of those, Magic Robot, Magnadoodle, Mastermind. I think we've got one of those hanging around, or my sister's still got it. It's quite a good game. The Knight Rider remote control car from 1982, Meccano, everyone had that, or most boys would have had. Monopoly, Merlin, Mousetrap. So the book's got really good art. Frosty, My Little Pony, as they collectible these days. Operation, Othello, Perfection, great game there. A little typewriter, my sister had one of those. Rainbow Bright, some doll thing. Ricochet Racers, never had that, but I remember seeing that around. Rom the Space Knight, remember I never had that. Rubik's Cube, Scalextrics, coming up to Star Wars soon. Scrabble, Screwball Scramble, Sea Monkeys, Shaker Maker, Shrinky Dinks, remember that, who doesn't? Silly Putty, Cindy, the sort of UK equivalent of Barbie, very collectible these days. Simon, $6 Million Man, what a classic Kenner toy. Yep, this was a great toy. Slime, Slinky, Sonic Ear, whatever that was, Surrey, Space Hopper, classic, Speak and Spell, Starbird, had that was great fun. Then we've got Star Wars toys. So you've got year 1978, batteries none, players 2, breakage quite easily broken, adds loads, MV maximum, eBay ability, and overall satisfaction. And then I've got a really nice piece of artwork there of the Star Wars stuff, and then some pictures of the early figures. Okay, so we'll take it as read that everyone has at least one Star Wars figure, because otherwise there's just going to be an uphill struggle. The card-mounted Kenner characters was the standard unit by which as collections were measured and all founded, whether you own just like Luke Skywalker or a whole squadron of stormtroopers. The fact of the matter is the entire 3,000-page catalogues have been published detailing the merchandising history of the Lucas franchise, but at least that leaves us free to skip to the top end, at least in our neighbourhood, of the desirability stakes and miss out the soap on a rope C-3POs, Leia Emos, Darth Duvet covers, etc. In reverse order then, these toys that we all would have happily been born a spoiled only child for, or that are still stored in airtight containers by overzealous fanboys, wish-fulfillment lightsaber photoshopping us aside, we loved the pipework detailing of these massive chunks of moulded beige or grey plastic that formed the AT-ATs, the Millennium Falcon and TIE Fighters, especially the ones with hidden compartmental secret buttons that would make parts spring off, although the varying scales that they were constructed to meant for confusing and correct perspective battles. Conjuring up a similarly surreal David and Goliath fight potential were the 12-inch figurines of popular baddies, Darth Vader, Boba Fett and so on. These guys had an advantage over their more miniature fellows, not just in terms of size, insofar as their clothes, capes weren't fashioned for vinyl. They were more accurately detailed and their lightsabers, etc., needed not to be awkwardly retracted into their arms. However, we do understand that for anything other than display and admire purpose, they were pretty impractical. By far the most coveted toy, however, was the cardboard and plastic hybrid that was the Death Star playset. On Death Star, how we desired thee. Shall we count the ways? The most thrilling parts of the first film could be reenacted with the ease from TK-47 to "Run, Luke, run." The seemingly bottomless tractor beam could duct rendered by simple means of a mirror at the base was confirmed, as we suspected all along, to be slap bang in the middle, and the working trash compactor even had the eye on a stalk alien thingy drawn on it. In fact, the only thing really wrong about this Death Star is that it was way too cool and expensive for us to even consider returning to later, shooting a couple of plasma bolts at and destroying. If it had been down to us, the rebellion would have been crushed just so we could carry on dropping hand down the cell block chute. Another teensy problem was the lack of corresponding Kenner Grand Moff Tarkin to stand on deck and say, you may fire when ready. Walrus face and Death Star droid, yes, but no Tarkin. In fact, let's quickly remember some of the other cack ideas trolled out in the name of merchandise: the Droid Factory, the inflatable lightsaber, the Jawa figure, surely it should have been half price, the completely unnecessary cardboard flavoured gun packs in which the Topps trading cards, and the quaint notion of providing adhesive battle damage stickers to apply on the spaceships. You see, ironically, it was the damage so easily sustained to the cardboard Death Star that has made it such a collectible today. If there's one thing kids do really well, is battle damage, and even those who did own one thought nothing of burning, battering or breaking it. Mind you, all that carelessness did not go in vain. It has at least given us the opportunity to watch completists Americans taking out second mortgages to acquire one now. And there's the Death Star, and you've got a few pictures of the figures from adverts there. Very nice. So that's the Star Wars section. Cool, that was more reading than I expected. Then you've got Stickle Bricks, everyone plays with them, great things. Strawberry Shortcake, Stretch Armstrong, never had that, but it was around in the 70s. Stylophone, very odd thing there. Sabutio, never had that either, but that was around. Tank Command, definitely had that back in the 70s, that was great fun. TCR, Total Control Racing, that was from America. Terrahawks, Tin Can Alley, what else? Tippet, I don't really know that. Tommytronic 3D, those are quite great at the time. Tonka trucks, everyone's had Tonka, they were so strong back in the 70s, much stronger than they are now, because in those days they were made out of real metal. Transformers, a lot of people are into Transformers, so you've got the original Optimus Prime there. Trivial Pursuit, love playing that. And then we're nearly finished. This vertical bird helicopter, I remember having that. War of the Daleks, some game there from the 75. Weebles wobble but they don't fall down. Good Zoids, Yahtzee, games, Spectrum again, Sega Mega Drive, and then we've got the end of the book, $12.99 originally in 2007. UK book, not bad. Okay, that went on a bit longer than I expected because I had to read so much. Okay, so that's TV Cream Toys. Should still be available. Okay, next book's from 2003. It's called Sci-Fi Fantasy Collectibles. I got it for a £5, and it's by Millers. It's written by someone called Phil Ellis, and it cost 15 quid originally in the UK, $25 in the USA. And this is quite a good book, just sci-fi stuff, so quite useful. Okay, so let's try and get through this book pretty fast. It has a timeline there, so you know it's going to have all the major sci-fi events, like the debut of the original Star Trek, Star Wars. There's a Star Trek Mego figure from the motion picture, and then you've got some Star Wars stuff there. You've got Darth Vader, you've got Chewbacca, Greedo, some later figures, the 15-inch Boba Fett. Gives the prices in pounds and dollars. So for this Chewbacca here, which is the 12-inch or 15-inch Chewbacca, the UK price they give is £350 to £550, or $525 to $825 US. So, well, that would be a really hard thing to find. And then the loose figures there, the UK price is £5 to £10, the US price is $7 to $50 to $15, and the Boba Fett is 140 quid or 210 US dollars. After Star Wars, we come to Cult TV. We've got Star Trek figures, we've got Doctor Who, and more modern Star Trek figures, the Playmates ones and the original Mego ones, and Doctor Who there, Tom Baker. And we've got Battlestar Galactica Ovian, we've got Buck Rogers stuff, we've got the Black Hole figures. I've got a Black Hole figure, the Sentry, and I've got Battlestar Galactica Imperious Leader. Then we've got He-Man and Aliens. Those alien ones are quite modern there. We've got Deep Space Nine, 1990s, and then we've got okay, so goes into books and annuals. The books divided thematically into collectibles. So you've got books, you're going to have posters, you're going to have signatures, you're going to have toys, you're going to have probably videos, 50s paperbacks, Blake 7, classic British series there, Blade Runner, these are books. Annuals, so this is something really big in the UK, we get lots of annuals, so Dalek annual there, 2000 AD annual. Comics, Silver Surfer there, Punisher, Excalibur, Jurassic Park, graphic novels, that's a very famous comic there, Killing Joke, Alien the illustrated story, then we've got sort of Star Wars manga comic there, Pokemon, and Lensman. Big Track, so we're into the toys now. We've got the talking canine from Palitoy, the Dalek, Batman. We've got stuff, Japanese robots, I guess. The Thunderbird Tracy Island, the Tron Light Cycle, very nice. Star Wars stuff again, so we've got a mini rig, the AT-AT, the Jabba playset, the Falcon, the Land Speeder in a Palitoy box, very nice, and a Land Speeder in a Kenner box. Obviously I'd rather get the Palitoy box, be worth much more. Yep, the Palitoy is worth about twice as much as the US version. And then we've got robots, we've got more robots, Transformers, got C-3PO and R2-D2. The R2-D2's in the Ger Stelliari book. Got the $6 Million Woman, Bonnet Woman. Got Action Man from the UK. We've got Tron figure there. So we've got $6 Million Woman. What else have we got? Got Star Wars board game there. Diecast toys. These are classic British toys there. The UFO Interceptor, the Shadow Vehicle, the Dinky Space 99 Eagle, Thunderbird 2, the Corgi Batmobile, classics there. The Moonraker Shuttle, Batcopter, Buck Rogers Starship, guns, models. We've got bits and bobs here. TV show stuff, trading cards, movie cards, posters, miscellaneous stuff, bubblegum, posters, movie posters. What else have we got? Batman, Spider-Man posters there. E.T., Star Wars, adverts for toys, videos and DVDs. Darth Vader helmet there, quite expensive that, 1,000 quid. I see 5,000, must be a real prop. and then a card signed by James L. Jones, signed trading cards. I've got one signed by the woman who played Greedo in the original Star Wars, and then a list of contents. Not a bad book if you're into sci-fi, not just Star Wars. And it's about almost 9 years old now, so it's Miller's sci-fi fantasy. Okay, next book we're going to look at is the Action Figure Field Guide by Warman. This is an American book. I got it for £2.99 and the publisher's price is $12.99 in the US. So this is quite a useful book. It's small and it's got a lot of information about different figures. There's a Star Wars version of that. I do have that as well. And so you've got a picture of Yoda there. Got content, and then it goes on to how to use this book. It's pocket size, so you're meant to be able to carry it with you. You've got Angel there, got Batman, got more Batman, so it's in alphabetical order. More Batman, plenty of Batman, and it goes on to other stuff, Batman Legends, Dark Knight. Let's try and get through this quickly. We want to get to the Star Wars. So you've got Fantastic Four, Smallville. So pictures are in colour. It's because it's a small book, there's just like listings of what was available. Batman, Captain Action, Buck Rogers. Not much on Buck Rogers. Fantastic Four. What else? Action Man or G.I. Joe. The original G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe African. Then prices, the G.I. Joe little figures. G.I. Joe. So it's got quite useful if you're into G.I. Joe. It's got quite a big section on G.I. Joe. Then it's got a lot of lists of what's available. Series 14 and He-Man. Got a lot about He-Man, Ram Man, Indiana Jones, so that's a classic figure there. $300 Minton cards, the original Indy figure, based on the original Han Solo figure from Star Wars. Then got Justice League of America. You've got the Punisher. You've got Marvel Legends. You've got more Marvel Legends. Got Sasquatch, X-23, you've got Apocalypse, you've got Spider-Man, and who else have we got? We've got Thanos, whoever that guy is. We've got Mask, that's from Kenner as well. We've got McDonald's toys, McDonald's action figures. They're not too expensive these days. Then we've got Secret Wars, and then we go on to the Simpsons, more Simpsons, play sets, these are the Playmates ones. Then we go into Spawn, quite a bit about Spawn. So this book's quite useful, it has quite a good list of what was available. More Spawn there. Then Spider-Man, you've got Shocker, you've got Spider-Man in the black costume. You've got Spider-Man web cannons, you've got Venom from Toy Biz, then you've got Mego Star Trek, then you've got First Contact, then you've got like Hugh Borg there. Oh, that's just a regular Borg actually. So these were really big back in the early 90s until Star Wars came along. But you've got Picard, Wolf, Georgie LaForge, Q. Who else have we got? A few other figures. Gorgon, Commander Riker, the Malkurian or whatever that is. The Transporter playset. $28 now. When we come on to Star Wars. Star Wars section's pretty good, and that's what we're interested in. Has 4 of the early figures, very nice, and then the Leia and the Stormtrooper. The blue Snaggletooth, got it valued at $80 to $100 loose. Nowadays it's going for a lot more than that. Got the red Snaggletooth card in the Empire Strikes Back card, the Boba Fett original, and the Hammerhead. Imperial Commander, Rebel Soldier, 2 Snowtroopers. Yep, there's slight differences in these figures. Look at the eyes. And then we have Yoda. Everyone knows about the orange and brown snake, and the green snake as well, supposedly. The Bib Fortuna at 8D8, Klaatu and Nikto. You can see all these figures on my channel. You've got Squidhead, you've got Rike, you've got Rancor Keeper, you've got Teebo. These Jedi figures are easy to find still. Luke on Power of the Force, Romba, that Romba's easy to find. Giant 12-inch Chewbacca. I had that when I was a kid, I still got it, but the limbs are loose now. And then we've got the Ben Kenobi 12-inch. And we've got the Jawa 12-inch, Luke 12-inch, IG-88, which is really hard to find, 12-inch. So this book's quite useful, and the Star Wars one, I don't know where I've put it. Once I find it, I'll do a video on that, but this is still pretty good. And then it goes on to the play sets, the ships, like the Trim Pod Cloud Car, great design there. Then Episode 1 figures, Power of the Force figures. So you've got Luke Stormtrooper here on the first release card. I remember paying about 20 quid for that back in the day, because you know, everyone said they were going to be scarce, but now they're quite easy to find. Rebel Commando, Power of the Force, Comtech R2D2, Millennium Falcon carry case, 2 of the Wanto and Dewback, quite nice. I've got both of them. This 2 set, you got that from the fan club. Muftak and Cabe, the Han with the coin, the diorama sets, the Jabba's Palace, and you've got a Y-Wing Power of the Force. You've got the 12-inch figures there of the power, like electronic Boba Fett. 4-pack there, Hoth figures, Shadows of the Empire, Power of the Jedi figures. Got 2 versions of the Scout Trooper, Clean and Dirty, plus Luke and Jack Porkins. Very nice. You've got Queen Amidala, Fleet Invasion, Power of the Jedi, Luke in Back to Tank, got that. You've got the 25th anniversary 2-packs, you've got the 300 figure Boba Fett. I mean, you have to get that Boba Fett, it's a great figure. Masters of Dark Side 2-pack, Best Bin Carbon Freezing Chamber, don't have either of those. The AT-AT with the, don't have that. TIE Interceptor, nope. Then we go into Saga figures. The Clone Trooper, that's one of them that I don't have, this pilot. Then the Slave One, the 2 giant 12-inch figures, Giant Gamorrean Guard, the Clone Wars figures, they're nice. Then the OTC goes up to OTC. So you've got Luke Luke Dagobah hanging upside down. You've got 2 Cloud Car pilots. And what else have we got? We've got, it goes up to Revenge of the Sith figures as well. That's quite useful. Got multi-packs there. What else is there? Then it goes on to Superpowers. These are really big. These go for a lot of money, the Superpowers figures. I think they're by Kenner, yeah. So they're into DC superheroes. Superpowers. The Clark Kent Mail Away. That's quite valuable. $40. Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles, what else have we got? Thundercats, they're coming back big time. What else? Autobots, Transformers, Voltron. Don't know much about Voltron at all. And then more Isis Mego, Robin, Mego, Supergirl Mego. Didn't really have many Mego figures when I was a kid, but you know, I remember seeing them around. The Hulk, Probably the most famous Mego superhero is this Spider-Man there. That's probably one worth tracking down. And more Megos in boxes. So there's your book. This is an American book and very useful, especially at £2.99. So that's your action figure price guide, field guide. I've got the Star Wars version of that as well. Once I find it, I'll do a review of it. I've put it in a safe place and I just can't remember. Like that Best Bin Luke I've been looking for, I can't find that. Okay, still this is a rare figure. And there's the label. It says 1980 Kenner Canada Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back 41 back C, Luke Skywalker brown hair. And the card gets 80, the bubble 75, the figure 80. So the bubble has imperfections on. Okay, the memory card just ran out, so I've switched back to the 16GB memory card, but I'm a bit worried that's not going to work because I've had so many technical problems with that, but I'll give it a go. So, might as well start again. This is the Collector's Guide 2001 by Harold Niedermeyer from Germany, and this was widely available in America, and it's quite a small book, and it's quite handy. It goes up to Power of the Jedi. So you've got a picture there. Okay, this tells us about the backs of the cards and what to look through. Mint on card, what it means. Then looks at the backs of the cards and fronts. You've got an Empire Strikes Back card, TIE Fighter pilot there, and the Return of the Jedi logo there. And it goes on to variations, like the most famous being the Luke Skywalker with telescoping lens, lightsaber, and the Boba Fett with the rocket firing Boba Fett prototypes. And then on to multi-packs, such as this French offer there, the Canadian offer there, the 6-pack from Empire Strikes Back, the German offer there, and the Italian offer there. I had the chance to buy that one, but I never did. Oh well, and that was about 20 years ago almost. So then we got Power of the Force and other cards, and then we got prototypes here, unproduced Kenner prototypes. So we've got some sort of sand speeder there, an AT-AT with a cannon fitted onto it, a sort of vehicle that would fit into the Millennium Falcon, and some sort of tracked Hoth vehicle there. So it's quite good for the prototypes, this book. Okay, I've got to make sure you can pick me up. So there's Darth Vader. So we've got starting off with the vintage figures. So this is how the book's set out. So it has a picture of the loose figure, then the carded version, and then the prices are in US dollars. And it gives you what prices are. So don't forget it's pretty out of date. It's 550 for 12 back Vader, 20 back 230. ESB is 100, Jedi's 45, Power of the Force is 100, and the Tri-Logo version is 45. So Vader's one of the figures that you can get on every card variation, well, US card variation. Then you've got the Han Solos, the big head and the small head. So the big head is 730 on the 12 back, and the small head is 690, even though the small head's really hard to find on the 12 back. And then the Star Wars 20 back Han big head is 650. Why am I focusing on the Han Solos? Well, wait and see soon. Okay, we've got a Luke Skywalker that's priced on the 12 back 770. We've got the vinyl cape Jawa, they placed that at 3,500, and the regular Jawa is 290 on the 12 back. We've got C-3PO 180, Stormtroopers 370. What else? Then we've got the accessories, vehicles, playsets, the UK Palatoy Death Star, the Cantina Adventure set with the blue snaggletooth. That's valued at $700. The Death Star playset $400. So prices are way off these days. The Troop Transporter playset, the TIE Fighter, What else? Sonic Speeder, the jet remote controlled. We've got Empire Strikes Back cards. Nice figures there. And then we've got the Palitoy, that R2-D2's for the Palitoy sensor scope. And we've got IG-88, Imperial Commander, two Hans there, Han Bespin, Han Hoth. And we've got the YPS Snow Trooper. That's impossible to find. I had a chance of buying one loose graded, but I don't know, just sort of. Then we've got the 2 layers. I want to focus on this. I've got quite a few of these ones. I've got that on our German Empire Strikes Back card and the Kenner 77 back. Now I have gotten this profile picture as well, or the side view. So that one's really hard to find. $200 for that, $190 for that. You've got the 2 variations of Luke. The tri-logo picture on the Luke Bespin is different. So Luke Bespin has the most variations out of the vintage figures. And we have the Hoth Romper, the Hoth Rescue play set that was only sold in Europe. I have that. And then we have a few other things, the mini rigs, the Sears Cloud City, Snow Speeder, Trimpo Cloud Car, Return of the Jedi figures. There's a 2-pack there. I've just come across one of those myself, and it's on my channel, so that's worth checking out because they're really rather hard to find. And then there's another 2-pack there. Tattoo on Palitoy card. That Medane's on the Palitoy card. You can tell by the extra writing at the top and no Kenner logo. Then you've got more Luke Jedi there. You've got the B-Wing pilot 88. Han. 2 variations of Han. You've got the camouflage lapel and the plain lapel. I haven't got the camouflage lapel yet. Katuan Skiff, Prune Face, great figure there. Teebo, the Italian glue stick Teebo there, strange offer there. Wicket, Rancor, ships, the Max Rebo 3 set, the Jabba Dungeon, the TIE Interceptor, Power of the Force, Anakin there. That's priced at 3,800 on the Power of the Force card, the Anakin. So that's more valuable than the Yak Face on the Power of the Force card. Amano Man, Han Solo in the carbonate chamber. Luke Stormtrooper. Look how the bubble always goes yellow on that figure. The Yak Face, that's only available in the Canadian cards. That's the 93rd figure. Or you can get it on Tri-Logo. Tri-Logo is $400. Power of the Force is $1,850. But obviously that's 11 years ago. Then we've got Droids accessories, including the A-Ring, Droids figures. These are valued at $20 each. This one size from is $115. Then we've got Logray. I hope this video is recording then. Because I'm rabbiting on. Then we go into Power of the Force 2 figures, and it's the same layout, freeze frame, you know, so it's a really interesting book for the sort of early days of modern collecting, plus of course the vintage figures. So you've got the Jawa with the Comtech, you've got the Jawa 2-pack with the bot, you've got Luke Skywalker, you've got Luke Farmboy there, you've got Rancor Keeper, Princess Leia, you've got the Leia Slave, Leia Hoth, the few R2-D2 Snow Trooper, Yak Face, the new version of Yak Face, and then Reuse, he's quite pricey, not too pricey though. Roha, I need to get him, he's in a Comtech card, Zuckus. Then you've got the vehicles, 3-packs, Complete Galaxy or whatever they're called, the ones that are in little environments, the Bantha, the Dewback, the Rancor, the Wonto, electronic figures, Epic Force, the Jabba's Band, figures with coins, accessory packs, environment packs, the Princess Leia collection, AT-AT, Cruise Missile Trooper, A-Wing, the Darth Vader's, the Land Speeder, ATST. You've got so much stuff in this book. Y-Wing, the Big X-Wing, Spirit of Obi-Wan. This is in the UK packaging. I have that on YouTube. Still need to get the Theatre Luke there. Shadows of the Empire. So, Shadows of the Empire, I'd be looking for the European, especially the Italian cards. They look much better. And you've got the Expanded Universe figures. You've got the Space Trooper, I need that one still. And you've got Episode 1 stuff. And then it goes on and on. Prices are just out of date though. Prices of, from a lot of modern stuff just dropped so much. So, you know, like the 2-packs and stuff like that. TC-14 is a bit hard to track down. So you've got the creature accessory packs, playset environment ships. Some of these have just been re-released. What do you call them? Not swoops, you call them. And then you've got more Epic Force. You've got stuff from Japan. You've got the Power of the Jedi stuff. These are much better figures. Nice cards. Oops, my hand slipped. Power of the Jedi. So we've got Power of the Jedi is when things really started to get really nice. So we've got R2Q5. I've just put him up on YouTube. Wara, he's worth tracking down. This figure comes in the game Escape from Theed pack, so he's worth tracking down. Biker Scout, Sand Trooper, Tessic or Squid Head, the Snow Speeder, and all that other stuff there. And then it has a little bit about Micronauts in the back. So this originally must have cost about a tenner. I got it for about £3 on eBay, and I'm sure the guy who sold it still has them. So I'm going to just check if this video works. Hopefully it did, otherwise I've just been rabbiting on for a long time going through this book. So it's easy to find on eBay in the UK. It's only about £3. It's called Collector's Guide 2001, and it's by Harold Niedermeyer. And I think the guy who's selling them still got quite a lot of them. And so altogether it's going to cost you about £4 or £5 maximum, because he's going to include in shipping or posting. And it's a reasonable book. Some of the English is a bit poor because it's been translated directly from German, so there's quite a few grammatical errors in this book, but otherwise it's useful. It's a European book, and there's not too many European specific books, and it's in the areas it covers, it does quite an adequate job, so it's not a bad book, and it's not too big as well. So it's easy to carry around, easy to just stick your nose in and browse. So it's quite a useful book. I'm just going to check the video if it works. So, and this was on sale in the States, I definitely know that. It's published by Star Toys. So there you go. Okay, next book I want to show you is the official price guide to Star Wars and Star Trek collectibles, 3rd edition. I got this back in '93, and this really sort of inspired me to get back into Star Wars collecting. It's by Sue Cornwall and Mike Knott. I've shown you a later version of this book, which is just that deals with Star Wars, but this is the book that really got me back into Star Wars collecting back in '93. And so half the book's about Star Trek and the other half is about Star Wars. So it's quite an old book. Came out originally in 1991, and it's mostly in black and white, but it's a really useful book. It's really you know, from a novice position, this really gave me a good grounding in the basics of Star Wars collecting, and you know, so it's got quite a lot of information where to buy and all that sort of stuff. Then it goes on, starts onto Star Trek. So this book's, even though it's totally out of date, is quite sentimental to me, because this was the book that got me into Star Wars collecting. And you've got the Star Trek Aliens, so you've got quite a lot about Star Trek, and it's not just action figures, it's magazines, it's books, it's badges, it's just everything to do with Star Trek And you've got to remember, back in those days, Star Trek was just as big as Star Wars, if not bigger. And so maybe Star Trek still is bigger. And you've got all the different things and glasses, and so the Star Wars section is going to be exactly the same. The middle of the book, it has a few colour pictures, and so you've got Star Trek pictures there. You've got some of the figures there, including the Mego figures, then the collector plates, then you've got Star Trek games at the top there, and more Star Trek stuff, and then you've got Franklin Mint ships and more just Enterprise focus ships at the bottom. So really interesting if you're into Star Trek, and I've always liked Star Trek as well. Then we go into the Star Wars pictures. We've got the Star Wars toys and games. We've got the laser pistol. You've got the battle game there. You've got the Escape from Sarlacc pit and all that sort of stuff. Then you've got the ships from Star Wars, the original vintage ships. Then you've got gold coins. Those cost a fortune now. And R2-D2 focus here. Okay, it's got the Power of the Force R2-D2 there, the original 84.5 version. Then you've got ceramics, items, and then the posters. And so we're still in the Star Trek section there, and then we're going to come up on the Star Wars section. You're going to see I've ticked off a few things that I've acquired over the years. So it starts with action figures there, and it gives you a few pictures at the bottom. This was really what just got me hooked onto Star Wars collecting. And then you've got all the different figures. So most of this I did back in the mid-90s when I collected all the figures and carded and just ticked off what I had and stuff like that. So this is probably now just half of what I've got in terms of vintage, but you know. And then you've got a picture there of 4 of the rare figures: the Anakin, the Yak Face, the blue Snaggletooth, and the common red Snaggletooth. So it's quite interesting, this book, and you know, I'm sure you could pick it up on eBay pretty cheap now. Got 4 on cards. You've got the Lily Lede Mexican figure card backs. They're really hard to get, totally hard. Brazilian Glass-Lighty figures. I've got a Luke on that card. You've got the Japanese Poppy book boxes. I haven't got any of those yet. And then we've got the Palitoy Imperial Commander. So it does with figures, then it goes into the ships, play sets, then it goes into bumper stickers, art books, magazine articles, all that sort of stuff. Comics here. Got lots of the comics. Well, I've got the whole set of the US Marvels. Took ages to collect that. And then there's the British versions, which are even harder to collect, which or probably impossible to get the whole British set. Then you've got West End games, you know, role-playing games. They're pretty good. I had Assault on Hoth. That was great fun. Still got that somewhere. And you've got more bits and bobs, magazines, model kits. You know, hopefully this is recording, otherwise I'm wasting my time. It's just this 16 megabit card. I thought it would give me a lot of time to make longer videos, but it's just proving to be a pain in the jacksie, because I don't know, there's just too many faults on playback with this 16 megabit card or gigabyte card. Oh well. And then you've got school equipment. Some of the Helix school equipment's going for mega money on eBay these days. Not that I've got any. Then you've got the TIE Bomber, always one of the holy grails of Star Wars collecting. Finally last year got a loose TIE Bomber. And then you've got just trading cards, a bit about them the two that wrote this book. And then, you know, in the US it was originally $10.95, in Canada $15. Got this in Forbidden Planet in '93. Great book. So really useful. This is what really helped kick me off, plus the likes of these magazines here, which are the Lee's Toy Review. These are really useful magazines, give you so much information. Hard to get now in the UK, but back in those days they weren't too hard to get, and really useful. Not just Star Wars, they have loads of other stuff, you know. So this one's a bit old, it's about 10-12 years old, but you know, it shows you how to customize figures, Street Fighter figures, the skiff, so it shows you how old this is for Power of Force. And then what's good about this magazine is the price guide, so the Comtex with the new figures there, the green Comtex cards. And then it's good looking at the old adverts for how much vintage figures were then. And then if you get a later update of this magazine, Hot Toys, and then tells you here's the price guide itself, the Star Wars price guide, really useful. And here's the actual Star Wars price guide, out of date now, but it's really a useful, comprehensive list. Always with Lee's, they've always been a bit poor on the tri-logo cards. They've always undervalued them. And you've got that there. So this is your Lee's action figure news. So if you can get it in the US, I'd thoroughly recommend this magazine. It's really useful. Good. Then it goes on to other toy lines in alphabetical order. Has a section, a massive section for Hot Wheels as well. And so, really good magazine. If I could still get in the UK at a decent price, I'd still pick it up, but it's really hard to get these days. So, and then there's this magazine as well, which is Tomart's version, and this doesn't have a comprehensive price guide, but it has lots of nice glossy pictures, and you know, has Brian's Toys advert there. This is probably about 10 years old at least, so it has the Kill Bill figures there, and maybe it's a bit more recent. And then Turtles, G.I. Joe, lots about G.I. Joe, and you know, not that I'm much of a G.I. Joe collector. I had the UK versions, the Action Men, but and then we have more. So if you're into G.I. Joe, this makes it all wrestling figures. Always has something about Star Wars. Indiana Jones. So if you wanted to get Indiana Jones figures, you could use this. And then it's got the LG Lin figures, Dragon Ball Z, and then Star Wars, what we all love. So you've got the sort of Cartoon Network Clone Wars figures there, and some of the last sort of saga figures there, and then more adverts. Most of the pages are in colour. There's an advert for that book I've just shown you, the collector's book. So this was on sale in the US, and it was $12.99 in the US. And more adverts there for Star Wars stuff, and adverts for girly action figures, model figures, and then other lines. So, you know, quite useful. This one here is a really old Lee's. It's from number 57. Don't know if it's from July 97. So, you know, Star Wars was just, you know, so we've got Spawn figures there. Lots of Spawn figures. So if you're into Spawn or G.I. Joe, you've got the Tuskegee Airmen. You've got All-Star, whatever that is. I'm not really into sports stuff. Then you've got some other figures there. AFIA info. The Spawn movie figures. They're pretty cool. Then you've got an advert for Outer Limits. What else have you got? You've got Go Figure. So you can tell this is an old one because it's got not glossy paper in it. You've got Star Wars advert there for who's this guy? Well, custom carded figures there, plus the prices of mint figures there. It's amazing how cheap they were then, the vintage figures. So this is how the old magazine was about 15 years ago. G.I. Joe price guide there, starting lineup. Then you've got the Star Wars price guide here. I've ticked off what I've got there, quite a lot of stuff. So this would need updating really. But if you look at the prices, let's look at the prices of the original 12 backs. So you see Luke with blonde hair was $350. The Princess Leia was $310, and on $350 on the Jedi card. The Han Solo small head was $515, and the big head was $595. So Jara plus the final cake Jara was $1,800 in those days, according to Lee's. So there you go. And it's starting to move on to the 95 figures, Tamagotchi stuff, remember those? Big Hobby, the Stormtrooper with the hologram, that was meant to be hard to find back in the day. The Hong Kong pack, the ASP7 droids, the Electronic Emperor, the 12-inch figures, the Dengar, Power of the Force. So it always has Star Wars update, and then it's goes back to more on Spawn, which was big in the mid-90s. More Spawn, and then letters people would send in, and more Spawn. So that's that magazine. And then the last one I want to show you is a British magazine. It's called, from '97, it's called Model and Collector's Mart. This one's out of publication now, they don't publish it anymore. It cost originally £2, and it has a lot about model kits and stuff like that, and sci-fi, but it has a good science fiction section. And let's see if we can find the here's the science fiction part. So it's got something about the Micro Machine playsets there, and some of the Power of the Force figures, the band member that you have to send away for, the R2-D2 electronic, what's going on buddy, Saga memorabilia. So you know, back in those days. And then sometimes you can check in here the UK adverts for selling vintage Star Wars figures, quite useful, and stuff that it's really expensive now. In those days wasn't so expensive, like the Harbour Italian figures. I wish I bought them back then if I'd known how much they were going to be worth now, because they were pretty cheap. I can't find any adverts here, but so you got this magazine's divided into like model kits, military, science fiction, and then it goes on to let's see what Star Wars. This is from TB Toy Zone. So this is where I got that Gamorrean guard on the I'm not sure if it was from there, but I think I bought something. So you got here, they're selling Spanish Star Wars figures on Return of the Jedi cards. The okay, next book we're going to look at is a German book. It's from 2001. It's by someone called Harold Niedermeyer. It's called the 2001 Collector's Guide, and it's quite a good book. It's quite small, pocket size. Well, not pocket size, but of a good size really, and it's quite a good book. It's not perfect. It goes up to Power of the Jedi, and it starts off with vintage. So it's quite starts off with abbreviations, and then looks at the card backs from the original vintage line, then a few oddities like the Luke telescoping saber, the rocket firing Boba Fett, and then it goes on to European free packs. So you've got a French offer there. You've got a Canadian offer there. You've got a German offer there. Italian offer there. Irish offer at the top, and then the Kenner 6-pack for Empire Strikes Back, and then the original really rare 3-packs, which some of these have been redone in the vintage collection last year. So I had a chance of buying one of those once. I turned my nose up against. I wish I had now, but it's too late now. Then we go on to episode 1, sort of oddities, and of a dress. The colours mix or deteriorate, and that produces a gold colour. So she often has gold coloured neck, and that's just due to changes in the paint. And she comes in this cape with quite an elaborate printing on it, pattern, and